Hello everyone, my name is Joyce. I am an accredited practicing dietitian and nutritionist currently living in Geneva in Switzerland and doing an internship with the World Health Organization. What a great time to be involved with the WHO during a global pandemic. But I would like to say that the following advice and recommendations are completely my own views and do not endorse any views of any organization that I'm affiliated with. Unfortunately, we became engulfed in this world where if someone had an opinion, they transformed it into a recommendation and they built a cult around it that they wanted everyone to follow what that particular opinion was all about. This pandemic is actually something quite positive for everyone. It is allowing us as health professionals to gain back reputation. So right now, my biggest joy is that populations worldwide are finally gaining trust back into scientific evidence. And not just the scientific evidence that we reference here and there, or a paper that might be published yesterday that gives us a new idea. The type of scientific evidence that goes through rigorous reviewing, that is included in systematic reviews and meta-analyses that gives us the best possible evidence. We are finally being able to see populations listening to their health officials for the advice and the recommendations that are needed to be followed. So it's really a nice time for dietitians and health professionals right now to capitalize on what's going on in the world. Us as dietitians, now more than ever, we are such important people. We need to enhance our reputation and the trust that people have in us because we know food. We care about food. And the number one thing that people might be worried or scared about right now is the lack of food, the lack of access to food. As dietitians, we need to maximize on teaching everyone about food sustainability, the importance of buying locally, reducing food waste, and eating in a healthy way. Because we know eating in a healthy way, in line with our dietary guidelines, are there to help us eat sustainably for better health outcomes. The foreseeable future and the statistics are showing us that the food environment and food systems are at a big risk of crashing. People are panic buying in the supermarket. The supermarkets, mostly around the world, is the only place people can actually go right now, which is why they're using shopping and panic buying as their only coping mechanism during this unprecedented event. So during this panic buying situation, us as dietitians, we can really help people be aware of what it is that they're buying in the supermarket, because people now have the time to go back to home cooking, to start making things not necessarily from scratch, but the time to stop depending on ultra processed foods. It's the perfect time for us to inspire people, to make them fall in love with making food. That whole sequence of events from paddock to plate is what makes people appreciate food more than ever right now. So as dietitians, I ask you to capitalize on this, to start teaching people how simple healthy eating can actually be. We know that COVID-19 is a big risk for people with chronic diseases, and a part of these chronic diseases is non-communicable diseases. We know as dietitians, dietary patterns are actually the number one risk factor for non-communicable diseases. We know that ultra-processed foods have an effect on non-communicable diseases. And in other developing countries, ultra-processed foods actually have an impact on undernutrition as well. So this is what we're calling the double burden of malnutrition. So it's so important, more than ever right now, for us dietitians to stand together and just have one voice, and that is following our dietary guidelines. Let's follow suit of populations who are gaining trust in their government officials again. Let's gain trust in our guidelines again. Let's gain trust in scientific evidence. Let's all form together and have one voice to teach people about respecting food and food sustainability and ways to cope with this crisis that people have not had to deal with before. Our role as dietitians, first and foremost, is to take care of ourselves. We need to have healthy dietary patterns. Individually, as health professionals, we need to take care of what we're eating, ensure that we are having an abundance of fresh foods, and also taking into account, of course, context-specific situations. So if we need to depend on processed foods like canned foods and frozen foods, that's okay, but let's walk the talk. 2, now more than ever, it's really, really important to stay active. More than anything, is for our own mental health. And then finally, putting time aside for mental health, reflecting, journaling, meditating, anything that gives us a sense of being, a sense of respecting and appreciating where we are right now in this situation. These things together can help us, especially the people amongst us that own businesses. They will help inform us that there are so many ways that we can keep busy right now. The world needs dietitians now more than ever. So if you own a business, don't be afraid to start consulting more and more people online. Do pro bono work. You don't need to be paid from every single person right now. Do some pro bono work to just maximize, get yourself out there for people to understand that dietitians are so much more than weight loss and all these things that people think that we do. So, taking care of ourselves and understanding how much power we have right now in the world can then lead us to our second priority, which is taking care of others. Those of you who are influential on the social media platforms, use that influence again to get everyone gaining trust in the government, gaining trust in big international associations like the World Health Organization, and to gain trust in accredited practicing dietitians, nutritionists as well, who follow scientific evidence when providing advice. Use your influence to tell people to wash their hands. It is something so simple but so effective. WHO has been saying to do it from day one. As influencers, as healthcare professionals, we should be teaching people about hygiene in relation to personal aspects and hygiene in relation to food safety, how to shop in a hygienic way, how to wash your fresh fruits and vegetables and prepare them in a safe and healthy way as well. And of course, to keep that reputation alive, we should never go against government officials. We shouldn't say anything that's against the World Health Organization or our dietary guidelines or our government or our health departments. We need to have one voice now more than ever to stand together and allow populations to have one message that they can follow instead of being confused from differing messages. You may have heard there are so many different myths possibly about killing viruses and boosting immune systems right now. So when people approach you and say, hey, have you heard that drinking hot water can kill a virus? Or your approach that should be, if there's something that's not harming you, you can go on and do it. But we don't have scientific evidence that it might cure anything right now. So your approach and your language on how to talk to people right now needs to be more empathetic. People are freaking out. They have anxiety every day. The last thing we want to do is to be judgy and looking down on people for believing sort of hocus pocus. And finally, we are teachers. We teach people how to lead healthier lives. So teachers, it's really important to go and gain the knowledge yourself. So if there's something that you don't know about, if you don't know how to bake bread from scratch in a really simple way, Go and learn how to do that so you can start teaching people. If you're not sure how to garden or plant very simple vegetables and fruit, go and learn what are the simple ways to do that so that you can, again, give that information to others. If you don't know the statistics about how much we waste food and how to actually minimize food waste, go and teach yourself that so you can teach others as well. My final point to you right now is capitalize on the situation we're in. We're in a health crisis, and we will soon be in a global food crisis. We are dietitians and nutritionists. We work with food. We know food better than anyone else. Capitalize on this. Capitalize on your business. Go and give consultations to people over the phone, on Skype, anything virtually that you can think of, and let's get the same message out there that there is no world without health and there is no health without good food. Take care of yourself, stay healthy. Ciao.